is welcome, but I said I don't want this group meeting here.
Sir, we're just meeting for the first meeting.
I don't care. Go to the public library. This is my place of business.
But I thought this was like, we come here all the time. We just already bought our food and stuff.
That's fine.
But you're kicking us out of your... We're just
Did I make it very clear that I did not want you here? Yeah, I did a lot of work to get people on the ballot so women would have the right to choose in the state of Idaho. And this is something I do not support, nor does my wife, and it's our business. So we have that choice.
So you're kicking us out. You're kicking out me and Bear, who's starting this group, and you're going to kick us out.
It's like if the KKK asked to meet here, I would say no.
So you think pro-lifers are like the KKK? Is that what you're saying?
In my world, it's the same. It's the same sort of concept.
That is so beyond hard. Pro-lifers, those who advocate for the dignity of every human life, even children in the womb. You were saying we are like the KKK. I've made my point clear. I asked you guys not to meet here.
You know, it takes years to build a reputation, and it can get crushed and destroyed in seconds. And I think we just saw that with Jim Sheehan, the coffee shop owner, in this clip here, who's comparing pro-life proponents to the KKK, has another thing coming. That was a terrible analogy. And we're going to continue because, guys, this is crazy. I got this clip from Brandon Tatum, actually, because I follow him on X. This is what the X, after all. So I saw his tweet here, and Brandon Tatum he's a great podcaster. Look him up on YouTube. He's got a lot of great videos. I like to watch his stuff. He's always got interesting points that he makes. But he says, an Idaho coffee shop owner told a pro-life group they were not welcome to hold a meeting at his business before comparing them to the KKK. Students for Life members say they had already purchased food and drinks when Idaho Roasters owner Jim Sheehan asked them to leave. Sheehan later admitted the comparison was a mistake, but stood by his discussion. He now says he and his wife are receiving nonstop death threats, which are never justified. And I do agree with Brandon Tatum at the end there with the death threats. That is never okay. He now said, yeah, which is crazy because it's like, again, this guy might be a sensible guy. Even though he's pro-life, which I'm or pro-choice, I should say, sorry. Even though he's pro-choice, I feel like, and I disagree with that in a way. I do think like in cases of like, rape or incest or any of those terrible like small percentages of the way that happens or like could kill both of the mom and the kid. Yeah, there's terrible things. I'm not saying that there's no way that you should ever have an abortion, but I feel like, I am more leaning towards pro-life, I should say. But again, Jim Sheehan might be a cool guy. I don't know. I've never met him. But that viral clip where he's comparing pro-lifers to KKK, I mean, that's a divisive thing to say. So if you lose a lot of business there, you only really have yourself to blame. But we're going to continue here because Fox News is the one that really was reporting the most on this. And this is the tweet from Fox News on the story. An Idaho coffee shop owner is standing by his decision to turn away a pro-life meeting after a heated exchange explodes online. Video shows Idaho Roasters owner Jim Sheehan telling Students for Life members they're not welcome to hold the meeting before comparing the group to the KKK. Sheehan later says the analogy was a mistake, but stands by his decision. Now he and his wife are receiving nonstop death threats, as we had kind of said before. So we're kind of just echoing what we said. But let's continue with the story from Jim's side. Because Sheehan, and this is also from Fox, because they did kind of get both sides of the story, which I appreciate. Because I'm not saying just to blindly follow these news outlets. So let's try to read between the lines. Sheehan disputed claims that he kicked out the group, telling Fox News Digital the video posted online was misleading. He said he had politely asked the group on Facebook the day prior not to use his business for their meeting. Sunday, she announced on a local community page they were holding this meeting at our business, naming it. I responded to the post politely, Asking them not to use our business as the agenda of the organization does not align with us. Sheehan told Fox News Digital. They showed up anyway. So his whole reason is, hey, we gave them warning. I messaged them. But Hawkins told Fox News Digital they had not seen the social media reply from Sheehan before holding the meeting. We'll get to Hawkins in a moment, guys. In an interview with Cowboy State Daily on Wednesday, Sheehan acknowledged the KKK comparison was a mistake, you think? Stating he didn't think through that analogy. Sheehan said he and his wife have received nonstop death threats, as we had heard, since the incident. He defended his right to host groups at his choice and said he objected to his business being associated with a cause that he and his wife adamantly opposed. I figured they would respect my wishes and not hold it there, he told the outlet. And so I do understand having your own belief systems and then, feeling disrespected. This is where it comes to the stoicism. This is where it comes to humility. This is where it comes to, customer service, honestly. Like sometimes you got to take a little heat, because you don't want to destroy that reputation that we had brought up at the beginning of this video. And Jim Sheehan may be a great at running a coffee shop. I mean, Kristen Hawkins and her whole group went to this coffee shop. So you think that if people are paying and have rewards in the coffee shop and they are frequent visitors, you form relationships with them. And if your values don't align with theirs and they take their business elsewhere because of that, by all rights, they're allowed to do that, But Kristen Hawkins is she's the mother of the student Bear, I think his name is, who's a boy that is in high school, I think, and he runs like a pro-life student group or something. And his mom was here, and they were talking about trying to get the people information to vote against the amendment on what's on the ballot in Idaho with pro-choice, pro-life. Though it's always a very controversial topic, you guys know that. But this is from Kristen Hawkins herself on the whole thing, right, guys? She says, Idaho Roasters Coffee House just kicked out our campaign for AFC group led by my 16-year-old son Bear. They compared us to the KKK, even though Planned Parenthood's founder, Margaret Sanger, spoke for the KKK. That is a crazy story in itself. Look that up, guys, on your own time. So, history is a crazy thing. We paid for our food. We weren't protesting or disrupting anyone. We were simply sitting together having a peaceful conversation. We were kicked out because we're pro-life and work to protect babies, but we aren't backing down. The backlash only reminds us that we're making an impact. We will keep showing up. We will keep speaking the truth, and we will keep fighting for life. Okay, that sounds all great and dandy, Kristen. She's, obviously spiritual and believes in pro-life stuff, because this is another tweet, guys. That way you can get a full picture of this person, right? Before you go after Jim. Before we start attacking Jim with pitchforks over that video. This is another tweet from Kristen. And she says, reminder for the confused Catholics. The body of Christ will never bless, normalize, or support abortion. There is no such thing as a pro-choice Catholic. So you can tell she's a hardliner, a black and white type person. I don't want to say can't, but isn't looking at the morally gray area that I feel like 99% of life takes place in. But at the same time, I know you're like waiting for the but I do kind of feel like the Catholic doctrine and the emphasis on life and how important it is and the gift that life is, I feel like any devout Catholic would be pro-choice or pro-life because of that. So I kind of do see what she's saying. I also do think that she and the group that she brought into the coffee shop was there to antagonize, because let's be honest, There's a million coffee shops around. You can find a coffee shop on any corner. This coffee shop happens to have a rainbow sign on the front yard that says everyone welcome, and it's all inclusive. So when Jim Sheehan is already messaging the day before in the chat saying, "Hey guys, I don't stand for this. Can you please not come here?" And he has signs and everything. It's like, Kristen, come on. You and the others, you guys know what you're doing. You're antagonizing this guy 100%. But at the same time, what I want to say here, guys, is that because I feel like there's a huge side that's like, oh my God, it's his private business and he's allowed to have his views. That is totally true. Valid. Another thing that's valid, though, guys, is that Kristen Hawkins and all of her friends and the community that supports and is on her side is more than allowed to not go to this coffee shop. They can go to other coffee shops because they are going to boycott, and that is a form of protest they're allowed to do as well. The thing that Jim Sheehan needs to remember is he went into business, so he took that risk on. It's on him, and he allowed himself to get baited into a viral clip that makes him compare pro-lifers to KKK members. And maybe Kristen Hawkins is a real piece of work. Maybe she's not a great person to be around. Maybe she is pretty ruthless. I mean, she does go out of her way to get onto Fox News, and she goes out of her way to be one of those people that has got a camera in your face whenever there's a confrontation. But at the same time, Jim, a lot of pro-life people are good people. Just like I'm not saying, just because I'm leaning more pro-life doesn't mean I condemn all the people that are pro-choice and believe in this. And I do see gray areas where I can concede and be like, yes, I feel like an abortion's valid. Most of the time I would say no, though. I mean, life, whenever we can preserve it, I think is important. But Jim Sheehan, he overstepped and he said something really stupid that this lady who, says she's a devout Catholic and everything, who could be using that to hide just how evil she really is. Because I don't know either of these people. Maybe I'm reading this all wrong. But I do feel like she's playing victim a little too much, or here, well, right to where she needs to be. And Jim just looking like this evil guy who's kicking people out and discriminating against his patrons, when in reality, he was asking nicely. The video is heavily edited, so take it how you will. The lesson in this video, though, guys, is that don't allow yourself to get flustered and say something stupid that you're going to regret. And if Jim's business goes out because no one wants to go there because of what he said about pro-lifers and comparing them to the KKK, that's on him. And then also, maybe there's a whole bunch of people that are pro-choice that are like, let's meet up there, let's support. And then he gets a whole rush of business. That's also a consequence. That's also an effect that could happen. So you can be negative or positive. It just depends. We'll see how his sales do. I don't want anyone to go out of business for having their own beliefs, but I mean, if you get out there and you say stuff, don't be upset with the consequences. You're years to build a great reputation, seconds to destroy it, guys. Thank you so much for watching another episode of What the X? If you like that clip, feel free to click on this clip or even this clip. And then, hey, don't forget about that clip over here. Thanks, guys.